Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning, everybody. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Monday, March 27th, 2023. Hopefully, you guys all had a wonderful weekend. We're going to be doing another rundown today. We'll be talking about how the markets closed on Friday, how the stock market closed, where crypto is trading at. I got a couple kind of business, entrepreneurship, e-commerce, digital marketing stories and or tips for you guys. Found a kind of a neat Shopify app. If you guys have a Shopify store and are looking for a live chat feature, found kind of a cool site for that. I'll be talking a little bit about the Google core algorithm update, which is just about 2 weeks in. Also going to be talking a little bit about buy now, pay later. Zero Hedge had an article, Millenials, the buy now, pay later generation. I was actually kind of surprised how many people, not only among millennials and Gen Z, but even like how many baby boomers are using buy now, pay later. We're also seeing an uptick in people using buy now, pay later to buy groceries, which kind of shows the state of the economy we're in. I think even like Domino's Pizza is offering buy now, pay later. We're going to be talking a little bit about real estate and how much the cost of owning a home has soared. And you're seeing a lot of people who are deciding, I think I might be content renting because the on average the cost of home ownership has gone up 20% year over year, whereas the cost of renting, well, it has gone up, is only up about 6.3% year over year. So it's looking like it's a better deal to rent than buy right now for a lot of people. We got a Wall Street Journal article, work from home era ends for millions of Americans. Burger King in Paris is now accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And a host of other stories to talk about in today's video. Before we get into today's video, a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Fire Maple Camping Cooking Stove. If you guys are familiar with jet boils are what a lot of people take camping with them, or if you're into like prepping and being prepared, a lot of people have things like jet boils laying around the house. The Fire Maple Camping Cooking Stove is great for boiling water for coffee, ramen noodles, or freeze-dried meals. If you guys are into camping, I like camping. I like even kind of going kind of off-grid camping, outside of established camping sites. But one thing I can't give up is my coffee. So I always bring my my Cafe Bustelo and have coffee. And these jet boiled devices are great for that. The Fire Maple Camping Cooking Stove boils a liter of water in about 2.5 minutes, and they also offer a 30-day return and a 3-day warranty. So if you guys are into camping, spending time outdoors, great to have one of these. Even just traveling, bring into a hotel room so you can make coffee in the morning. Or if you guys are preppers, I kind of hate the word preppers because I feel like preppers kind of sends the idea that people are like, their whole identity is prepping for some disaster. I think it's kind of common sense to keep some extra food, some extra water around the house. And if you are going to keep some extra food around the house, why not have a way to actually heat and cook this food? Also, recently we got what everyone wants to ban gas stoves. One of the nice things about gas stoves is if the power goes out, you can still use your gas stove. But federal government wants to get rid of gas stoves, and I think in California they're banning gas stoves by 2024 in new residential buildings, and I think 2030 in all buildings. So it would be really nice to have something to be able to heat water if the power goes out. So check out the Fire Maple Camping Cooking Stove, being sold on Amazon, and free shipping to Prime members. And I'll link to that in the description box below. Oftentimes I give movie suggestions and things like that. I saw the new John Wick movie over the weekend. Really great movie, tons of actions. It was like nonstop shootouts. Saw it in IMAX. It was like really, really in your face, really good movie. It's a little bit long. I think it was about 2 hours and 40 minutes, but definitely recommend checking that one out. And also, I was pleasantly surprised by this. It was my buddy's birthday, so we a big group of us wound up going out to Hooters for dinner, rolled a couple joints, smoked, and headed over to watch John Wick. And I talk about how the quality of food at restaurants, the quality of service at restaurants, this has all kind of gone downhill over the past couple of years. And I was actually really pleasantly surprised by our experience at Hooters. Obviously, they're not going to win any Michelin stars. It's just bar food. But it's probably been 10 years since I've had Hooters wings. The food was fantastic, and the service, normally nowadays you don't really get very good service. The service was fantastic. I think Hooters waitresses on average make a lot more money in tips than, say, a waitress at Applebee's or TGI Fridays or Chili's or any other restaurant. So they seem to be happier. They seem to realize that, you're partly going for the food, but you're also partly going for the experience. And I just thought the service was fantastic, which is something that you don't get very often anymore. So if you're actually looking to get some good service, I'd recommend checking out a Hooters if you got one in your area. Let's talk a little bit about Shopify. So When it comes to having an e-commerce store, a lot of people like having a live chat feature. A live chat feature, customers like it because they can get their questions answered quickly, and most e-commerce store owners would prefer live chatting with somebody than having to take the time out to field a phone call. And I also think buyers would rather, text or chat a message than have to pick up the phone and call you. It's something that you can do from your desk at work. You don't necessarily have to wait for lunch to pick up the phone and call somebody. And I've used a number of live chat things in the past. For one of my clients, we use Gorgeous. It's pretty expensive, a couple $100 a month. Great tool, but if you have a small Shopify store and you don't necessarily need all the advanced features, you don't necessarily need Gorgeous. I know some people are using something like Zendesk. I've used an actual app called Live Chat in the past. These are all great, but these apps can get pretty expensive. With Shopify, every little thing you need to do requires an app. Shopify actually has a native app called Shopify Inbox. It's kind of an app/sales channel. It's native to Shopify. It's made by Shopify, which typically means it works better and it's not going to slow down your Shopify site. Super easy to set up, super easy to manage. You can get notifications on your mobile device and or email. You can also set up canned auto responses. So if somebody asks, what's your shipping policy, what's your return policy, you can have canned auto responses that automatically answer back without you having to do so. You can also share products within the chat. And if people need to inquire about their tracking information, they can inquire about tracking information and get their tracking information without having to bother you. So check it out. It's called, I believe it's part of a Shopify sales channel, but the actual app itself is called Shopify Inbox. And if you actually want to get the mobile notifications, make sure you download the Shopify Inbox app in addition to just downloading it on your Shopify store. You need it to get it on your mobile device. In that same tune, talking about Shopify and e-commerce, Zero Hedge had an article, Millennials, the buy now, pay later generation. Initially, this headline kind of caught me off guard because I think of Gen Z as being the BNPL or the buy now, pay later generation. Apparently, 56% of millennials have used buy now, pay later, 49% of Gen Z, 36% of Gen X, and 26% of baby boomers. And that kind of surprised me. I didn't realize how many people were using buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later is no longer something that's nice to have. It's something that you have to have. Over 50% of your customers are customers who potentially would use buy now, pay later. Another thing that really surprised me, 26% of baby boomers have used buy now, pay later. I would have expected that to be much, much lower. And even though this article talks about how millennials are the buy now, pay later generation, you got to keep in mind Gen Z, the youngest Gen Zers are only like 11, 12 years old. So I think I would expect that within the next couple of years, we'll be seeing 75, 80% of Gen Zers using buy now, pay later services, assuming they're still around and they're not heavily regulated. Another thing that kind of surprised me was PayPal was the most used buy now, pay later service. I definitely would have expected it to be Afterpay or Klarna or Affirm, but I was kind of surprised to see that PayPal is the most used buy now, pay later service, followed by Afterpay, Klarna, and Affirm. I'm not sure how many of you guys are like into SEO, but I do know a lot of you guys have websites or have Shopify stores. Google rolled out a core algorithm update on right around March 15th of 2023, so that's about 2 weeks ago. If you guys run websites, if you guys are SEOs, if you guys have a Shopify store, let me know if you guys have seen your rankings change, your sales go down, anything like that. I haven't noticed a ton of movement, more movement from this algorithm updates than some of the previous ones. I have noticed that manufacturers or brands themselves are ranking better over third-party sellers of those brands. And I've noticed that content continues to rank better and better. So even if you're an e-commerce store, it's crucial that you're putting out YouTube videos, you're writing blogs, you're putting out content. Let's talk a little bit about the real estate market. I've seen a number of real estate YouTube channels that I follow. Jeremiah Babe, he's not really a real estate channel, but he's been out visiting some home sites in California, and it's just dead. Another channel I've talked about in the past, Real Estate Mindset, he goes out and visits a lot of these new builds. It's dead, right? Like there's one employee car in the parking lot in the whole development. Nobody is out kicking tires. Nobody's out looking for homes. I know Jeremiah Babe was out by Coachella looking at homes. I mean, you're talking homes $650,000 to $800,000. These are ticky-tacky homes on postage stamp lots, almost no yards. They were technically single-family homes, but the size of the yards and size of the homes was more like townhomes. Not high-end finishes into places, right? Like laminate flooring, composite wood, and these things are good. This is what you get for $650,000 to $800,000. And I'm always amazed. We keep hearing about how home prices are down in a lot of hot markets. Seattle, San Francisco, Portland, Southern California, Los Angeles, Boise, Idaho. But when home prices have nearly doubled in the past 2 to 3 years, even if you see a 10%, a 12%, a 15% pullback, that's still nothing. We're still not even pre-Mexican beer cough prices, and we'll be talking a little bit about how much more costly it is to own a home today than it was even a year and a half, 2 years ago. The difference between the mortgage payments and rents is the largest that it's been. Okay, so this is kind of a different stat. The difference between mortgage payments and rents is the largest that it's been since the 2006 housing bubble that led to the Great Recession. Factoring in an assumed 10% down payment on newly purchased homes, the National Multifamily Housing Council says a 30-year fixed mortgage payment costs a whopping $1,176 more than renting an apartment at the end of 2022. The cost of owning a home has soared 71% in 3 years, an average of about 20% per year, compared to an average rent increase of 6.3% per year. So yeah, rent prices are going up, but home prices are going up even more. And in most markets, you're going to pay a pretty hefty premium to purchase and own a home as opposed to renting a home. A lot of people who are renting homes say, look, I'm renting a beautiful home. It's in a great area. It's a nice house. It's updated. I'd be paying $1,000 more to buy a comparable home. As much as I would love to be a homeowner and buy a home, it just doesn't make sense to buy a home right now. And I think we may have this stat a little bit further on down, but I just want to get to it in case I didn't. On average, they say a $250,000 home, and it's getting harder and harder in any market to find a $250,000 home. But on average, a $250,000 home with today's interest rates is going to cost you about $1,000 more per month than it would have, say, about a year and a half ago. And that's really crazy, right? Think about how much less home you get for your money because of interest rates. We got an article from Wall Street Journal, work from home era ends for millions of Americans. The share of businesses with workers on site most of the time neared pre-pandemic levels. In 2022, the Labor Department found that 72.5% of businesses said employees teleworked rarely or not at all. And if we compare that to 2021, it was 60.1% of businesses reported that their employees rarely or never worked remotely or never worked from home. So, even though it does kind of seem like most companies who are going to go back to the office have returned back to the office, most companies who are going to remain remote have chosen to remain remote. But we are seeing more and more companies like Salesforce who a couple years ago, earlier in the Mexican beer cough, were very rah-rah about work from home, who are now calling employees back into the office. And with layoffs continuing to increase, it seems like calling people back into the office is a great way to get people to voluntarily quit. We got a few crypto stories. Actually, let's kind of hop up. I don't think I actually talked about what the markets did. So on Friday, the Dow closed up 132 points, NASDAQ closed up 1.1%, and the S&P 500 closed up about 0.5%. Crypto is currently trading sideways. Bitcoin sitting at 27,800, Ethereum at 1764, and BNB at 326. This week should be interesting. It looks like Deutsche Bank may wind up collapsing, may wind up needing to be rescued this week. Amidst the banking collapse, amidst the government having to pump $300 billion in to kind of secure the banking industry, with Credit Suisse going under, and now it's looking like Deutsche Bank may wind up going under this week. All this craziness is going on, and the stock market is still going up. Crypto stories. Burger King in Paris is now accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I thought this was an interesting stat. The number of irretrievable Bitcoins is now estimated to be around 6 million. Obviously, there's only 21 million Bitcoins ever in existence. That's all there ever will be. And, if we consider that 6 million have been lost, lost. With people not knowing the seeds, or they threw out their treasure in a dumpster and don't have the seed. That leaves only 15 million Bitcoins available. So, as time goes on, Bitcoin, there's going to become less and less Bitcoins, and they're going to become more and more valuable. Another interesting stat about Twitter, or story about Twitter. Elon Musk says Twitter is now worth $20 billion less than what he originally bought it for. We could kind of talk about I guess we were talking about gas stoves earlier. This is about gas station. A Denver suburb called Louisville City is banning gas stations in an effort to be green and promote the use of EVs. They did make a cutout in their law for stores like Costco and Sam's Club, as well as 7 other retailers who are exempt if they want to add gas stations to their stores. It's kind of funny how big business gets exempt from that. Ultimately, this is just going to limit competition. It's going to make residents pay higher gas prices or go over to neighboring cities, which means that city, Louisville City, isn't going to get those tax dollars. And, rather than making EVs or electric vehicles more attractive, we seem to be trying trying to make gas vehicles less attractive. So, if you want people to drive EVs, get the range up so that you don't have to worry about you can't even drive a state over without your car running out of power. Make EVs better. Don't make gas worse. Another interesting story, America's average apartment size plunges at the same time that home size is growing larger. In 2022, the average apartment size was 887 square feet, which is down 80 square feet over the last decade. The smallest apartments are typically found on the East Coast, California, and the Pacific Northwest, with the largest being the South and the Southeast. That kind of surprised me. I would have expected the Midwest to be a little bit larger. Here's a story from The Hedge. Ex-Morgan Stanley advisor stole millions of dollars from NBA players. I believe it was over $13 million. And lesson of the day is don't trust people with your money. It's getting kind of scary. Like, how do you secure your money? How do you keep your money besides just putting it all in your mattress? Crypto exchanges go down. Crypto projects go down. People traditionally thought that the banks were safe, but now we're seeing runs on the banks. We're seeing banks collapsing. Where is a safe place to put your money? We're seeing trillions of dollars exit banks. Either people want to buy gold or silver, people want to put their money in their mattress, or a lot of people, the banks aren't really paying good interest rates right now, and banks aren't that secure. So a lot of people are feeling like it's a better move to either buy CDs, buy bonds, or put their money in money market accounts. Zero Hedge had another article. The ESG Cover Your Ass Tour begins as managers scramble to remove references from pitch decks. So over the past couple of years, there's been a big movement to be, quote unquote, responsible investors. Let's only allow pension funds to invest in companies who are woke and push LGBTQ plus IA trans movements, or green initiatives. And now people are realizing that all these companies pushing woke stuff, Silicon Valley Bank, they go under. There was another one of these banks. The CEO was a trans person or cross-dresser running around the country talking about trans stuff as opposed to focusing on banking, and his bank collapses. Silicon Valley Bank, the woman was going on a big LGBTYQ plus A tour. All the while, the bank had no chief risk officer, and the bank wound up going under. So a lot of people are kind of souring on the whole ESG movement. Another interesting article over the weekend, up to 80% of workers could see their jobs impacted by AI. A recent study by OpenAI and the University of Pennsylvania found that researchers believe that 80% of the U.S. workforce could have at least 10% of their work tasks affected by the introduction of ChatGPT, and 19% of workers may have half of their work done by AI. The industries they say are most at risk are investment advisors and brokers, insurers, data processing, news, journalism and publishing, and brokers. CNBC had an article, more and more women are becoming truck drivers as the industry tries to overcome a shortage of drivers. Women made up almost 14% of professional truck drivers in 2022, according to Women in Trucking, which is up from just 7.9% in 2018. So the amount of female truckers has essentially doubled since 2018. And what's kind of interesting about that, during the Mexican Beer Cough, we heard about, 74, 78, even 80% of people working in healthcare, hospitality, restaurants, retail, didn't want to go back to that industry. And so we kind of talked about how a lot of people who used to work in those industries are finding new jobs to get into, and one of those areas seems to be trucking. Yahoo News had an article, for some, TikTok is a path to riches in the American dream. With a ban, it could all disappear. A lot of people who make their money off TikTok or whose businesses thrive on TikTok are really upset that TikTok might be banned. This article kind of highlighted some people who have created income streams, either giving advice on TikTok or creating TikTok content businesses. I think one girl they featured was giving tips on like frugal living. And then there's other businesses who, I think there was one woman highlighted in the story who her business was only doing $5,000 to $7,000 a year. Once she got on TikTok, now she's making $250,000 a year. Content and getting in front of people organically is a great way to drive traffic and drive sales without having to spend money on Facebook ads or Google ads or sponsored, posts. And TikTok has been great for really spearheading and kind of launching a lot of businesses. So it would kind of suck for people if that wound up going away. What do you guys think? Should TikTok be banned? I can see the case for it. TikTok is a very invasive app in terms of the type of data that they collect. I know, the narrative right now is that we should hate China. But when you really think about it, is TikTok any worse than Facebook or Instagram or any of these other, platforms in terms of how addictive they try to make their app? the data that they harvest from people, etc.? Or is this just kind of a big narrative that China's bad? Let's ban things from China. We always kind of touch on layoffs in these stories. Thus far this year, 2023, 527 tech companies have laid off employees. Total number of employees laid off is 153,548 employees. Some recent layoffs: Veeam laid off 200 employees. Slight laid off 25% of the workforce. We touched on this one the other day, but a big one. Indeed laid off 2,200 employees, as did, I believe, Glassdoor. And Logitech recently laid off 300 employees. Real estate, home sales are up slightly. Rates, but because here's what I meant to touch on earlier. You know, it's really weird how rates pull back a tiny little bit, and all of a sudden the media narrative becomes, you should run out and buy a home because mortgage rates are down the tiniest little bit. This recent fall in rates means that on a $250,000 loan, you're saving about $48 per month. So even on a $500,000 home, $500,000 home, the recent pullback in mortgage rates means you're saving $100 a month. When we look at a $500,000 home, and you're probably going to be paying $1,200, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 more per month for that home today than you would a year and a half or 2 years ago. And now the rates pull back slightly, and you're going to save $50 or $100 per month on your mortgage payment. And you're buying a home at the top of the market. You know, homes have surged over the past couple of years, and we're supposed to believe that this is a good deal. And again, this was kind of the last stat of the day. I think I already got to it. But mortgage payments are $1,000 higher than 2 years ago for an average size home, a $250,000 home. Anyhow, guys, that is all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything and everything we've discussed in today's video. So drop those down below. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. That's all I got for you guys today, and I'll catch you on the next video.